Hello. Today I'm diving into a few questions that were asked since I posted a video telling you to hit balls with an open stance, and I'm going to show you how you can do that without cutting or fading the golf ball. A few weeks ago I posted a video about getting more hip rotation by simply opening your stance in the address position. I got quite a lot of mail about this. People first of all questioning whether that isn't going to just cause me to fade or slice the ball, and others basically asking me how to do it. So I thought I'd go into a little bit more depth. There's three real main core things you've got to understand when you're doing this and how you're going to do it, because it's all about basically separation of the hip rotation and the shoulder rotation. Now obviously you're never going to be actually able to separate the two because they're connected by your trunk and your spine, but it's got to get that kind of feeling. And if you've watched my videos a lot, or you're going to know that I've been talking about this kind of difference in the rotational planes of your hips and your shoulders for years now. And it's all about getting your shoulders onto a plane which is running more or less parallel with the shaft angle in the address position. If you can do this, then you can control the club's path. And controlling the path is 50% basically of controlling where the ball's going. The rest is about controlling the club face. But separating the shoulder action from your hip action is really just a question of practice and understanding the kind of component parts. Because your hips and your shoulders are working on different planes, your shoulders or your hips rather are tilted slightly forward towards the ball, and then they're rotating in the center, hopefully, in the feeling as if you were stood in a big barrel, and it's a little wider than your hips and you want to kind of rotate in there. But you can see I'm able to kind of rotate my hips and my shoulders aren't doing anything. The trouble is that when my hips are doing this, I want my shoulders to be rotating as well. And actually the idea of opening your hips is making the way clear so that you can rotate your shoulders faster and you can rotate them freer. By rotating your shoulders faster and freer, you can keep more pressure on your arms and the golf club for longer and delay the releasing of your arms and your hands through the golf ball. But to do this, if you look from the back camera, you'll be able to see that as I rotate, I go into a side bend. So if you could imagine this movement combined with this movement, the rotation is coming through my hips, which is rotating the lumbar spine and helping my shoulders to rotate, but it's also coming from a shoulder rotation. As if I had a motor in my hips and a motor in my shoulders. I'm not just allowing the hip rotation to work its way up the spine and help my shoulder rotation. I'm doing both things at the same time. But by getting the hips out of the way with this open stance, I'm going to make it easier for me to get my shoulders rotating at the speed that I want them to and with the freedom that I want them to. But to keep myself in plane, I've got to get this crunch going on. That means that the stomach muscles are contracting. My back muscles, the latissimus, is contracting and pulling this trail shoulder down in and through the impact moment. And that's basically what's going on. It's a crunching of the side. What you'll also see from the back camera, especially when hitting balls, is there's a bowing of the back going on. You've got a lot of kind of arching. So if you take it from this camera, as I come through, you can actually see how my body has a side crunch. But also, if you were to take it from that position, I'm going in a bowing movement forward. So even as if my head is going down at that point. Now, obviously, this is all costing an awful lot of flexibility, or needing a lot of flexibility in order to do this. And you're going to have to be at least patient with your body if this is something you're wanting to do, and most probably accept that you're not able to do it as much as me, and most certainly not able to do it as much as any tour pros who are probably in their mid-20s and have been doing it since they were children. But basically, this is the way that Lee Trevino in his day was able to get so much hip rotation going on and at the same time keep his shoulders in plane, and that way he was actually able to get the club moving far more easily down the target line, and this release to be happening so that a half a metre or so after the golf ball, he's still got pressure on the shaft. And you'll see that by some of the great swingers today, whether it be Rory or Dustin or Brooks or Mr. DeChambeau. You'll see all of them with their hands out ahead of the club head in impact and keeping the hands ahead of the club for a good time after impact. And this is giving them the control over the golf ball. By getting that kind of control for so long, it means that the quality of their pour shots gets better. They aren't having to struggle with timing as much, because if the timing's a little early or a little late, it doesn't matter. The club face is still traveling down a neutral line, and the face is angled to the target is still pretty neutral as well. Once you actually understand this and you can feel this and you can get your shoulders to do this, you're also going to have a great deal more fun shaping the ball. If you can't control path and face angle, you can't shape the golf ball. And in the past, we've been talking too much about where your feet are pointing, as if the ball is magically going to know that because your feet are pointing left, it should start to the left of the target. On the contrary, it's all about where your shoulders are pointing. So if you want to align yourself to a target in the future, set yourself up and have a look where your shoulders are pointing, because that's where you're swinging the golf club. As long as you allow your body to bow and your side muscles to crunch and to pull you down into the spine angle and into the shoulder plane that you need, and keep that shoulder plane irrespective of all this hip rotation which is going on. So you should be able to have a totally open stance and hit lovely little baby draws which go in exactly the opposite direction as those old books say they should. You gotta admit, it's a great game. Hope this has cleared it up. If you enjoyed the video as ever, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the little bell if you want notifications the next time I post a video. And thank you once again to all my patrons. I shall leave a link if you want to support the channel by making a small donation through Patreon. Otherwise, I'll be back very shortly with the next one. Till then, bye-bye now.